Like, there are so many things in our life that are more difficult just because the stories we have around them, or the things that we've picked up that we no longer need. And it's just triggering us in this way that we don't know how to function without it. That is what I want to help you do, is clear that path so you can have a smoother experience. Yes, there's still going to be like little rocks here and there. There's still maybe an unexpected like river you have to cross or whatever it may be. But you'll have the tools you need to keep going and keep following your path the most aligned way you know how. Welcome to Alignment Adventures. This is a podcast where we explore what it means to live a fulfilling, aligning, and present life. I'm your host, Linda Tanner, and I am so grateful that you are here. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to another episode of Alignment Adventures. I hope you all are doing so well, and I'm so grateful that you are here with me today. I wanted to come to you for a little solo episode and talk about one of the main things that has been super present in my awareness and is one of the key components of the class that I am teaching, as you guys know about or may not know about, Live Your Most Aligned Life, starting on March 6th. And that is clearing the path, or basically getting out of your own way. I've noticed this in myself and with so many people that I talk to or work with or that I'm friends with or in my family. A major component that stops us from living in alignment, and what I mean by that is living a life that brings us joy, happiness, and is in alignment with our soul, not with external factors, not with other things we think we want, but with what is important to us and our values, is getting out of our own way, is allowing, is clearing the path. And what I mean by that is getting rid of like the stuff we're carrying around emotionally, it can be physically as well, that no longer serves us. I feel like this is the trickiest part of living in alignment, and this is something that we just tend to avoid because this is the hard work of it, right? Is working through our SHIT, doing the work and releasing what we need to. It's easier to avoid and put that in the closet and suppress those feelings or those thoughts or those patterns than facing them head on and taking action to rewire those. That can be really difficult. So just let's stop and place our hand on our heart and just send ourselves some compassion as we're doing this, right? Like, this is not easy work. This is work that people can avoid their whole lifetime. And you are sitting here right now listening to me. So that means that is not a coincidence. You are here for a reason. And it is time for you to look at some of those things that are holding you back. Look at some of those things that are no longer serving you and release them. I've shared this multiple times on the podcast, but the word I hear constantly, incessantly from my internal guidance is allow. And what I am understanding that to mean is so much deeper than like the surface level meaning of allow that we may use on a day-to-day version. What I am learning that my internal guidance is trying to communicate with me is just, Lindsay, get out of your own way. Allow what needs to come through to come through. Stop second guessing, stop self-sabotaging, stop overthinking, and just allow. Allow. Now, again, that sounds simple, but there's much more to that. So I have a few weeks in my class where I'm going to take people through releasing that emotional weight that can get stuck in our body, or releasing those thought patterns that are no longer serving us. And I'm just so excited to share this process with so many of you. This is something that I'm still doing. I'm not perfect at this by any means, but I am applying it in my own life, and that has allowed me to create some of the most magical moments and things that I desire in my life right now. You know, the things that I have either cooking up or in my reality right now were things I once dreamed of. And I do believe a huge component of that is working through this hard stuff, facing my perceived shadows. We've talked about that many times on here, facing the things that are scary and continuing on. My mind has so many stories about, even from when I started this podcast to what I'm doing now. And I've just continued on because I've developed and strengthened that muscle with my internal guidance, so I can kind of drown out the voice in my mind that is so loud and incessant. Instead, I can tune into that softer, quieter, more loving voice, my internal guidance, and let that guide me. Now, that is not to say that my mind just goes away, right? Like, I still am human and I have a mind. My mind and my ego aren't going anywhere. It's learning how to move forward, live your life in alignment despite those stories. And another analogy that really helps me visualize this, because I tend to be a visual person, is imagine your life as a path, right? Your soul's path. We talked about that last week with Karen Hager, which, by the way, there's no way you can miss your soul's path. It's impossible. It's very comforting for me to think about. But think about your life as a path. And you're walking along this path and you've got like trees in the way, like a tree's fallen down, or maybe it's really muddy or really rocky, or there's like brush in the way, and it's just a really hard path. There are so many things blocking your way, or maybe you have the wrong shoes on or the wrong outfit. Releasing this stuff and clearing your path is just that. It's putting on the right shoes, metaphorically, right? It's clearing that stuff out of the way so you can flow on your path much easier. It's taking that stuff off, clearing that stuff out of your path that is making your life more difficult than it needs to be. Like, there are so many things in our life that are more difficult just because the stories we have around them, or the things that we've picked up that we no longer need. And it's just triggering us in this way that we don't know how to function without it. That is what I want to help you do, is clear that path so you can have a smoother experience. Yes, there's still going to be like little rocks here and there. There's still maybe an unexpected like river you have to cross or whatever it may be. But you'll have the tools you need to keep going and keep following your path the most aligned way you know how. So let's talk about the process of clearing the way a little bit. So as I've mentioned many times on here, as we go throughout our life, from childhood, really from birth until now, we have picked up things that may or may not serve us. Beliefs, thoughts, emotional weight. And what can happen many times is we maybe felt fear or anger, or we were upset. We had those perceived negative emotions. It could be from anything as small as you didn't get something when you were little, or maybe you were, ignored for a moment in time, or maybe someone said something to you at work or in school. It can be those tiny things, and they have stayed with our subconscious. They have stayed in our body, and for whatever reason, we didn't allow ourselves to feel it fully, because unfortunately, that can be the predominant mentality with emotions, right? Is we suppress them, we don't feel them. When a baby's crying, we're like, shh. When a toddler's having a freak out, we do whatever we can to calm them down instead of teaching them how to fully feel and process that emotion. So throughout your lifetime, you have had these experiences, and you have these emotional weights in your body that are still there. And you'll be going throughout your day, and someone will say something, and it's like a bruise or like an open wound in your body. I mean, it's non-physical, right? This is energetics. We are energetic beings. We've talked about that many, many times. But what happens is you're going throughout your day and someone says something to trigger that wound. And then you spiral, or you go into this whole mind story around what that means, or it triggers you into these very low vibe emotions. And it can be so difficult to get out of that space, especially if you are feeling them so intensely. I know a lot of times when I just don't feel like myself, when I feel out of alignment, I just want to do whatever I can to get back in alignment. And sometimes I can want to escape feeling those feelings. But it's just a matter of allowing ourselves to go there, allowing ourselves to feel that sadness, that anger, in a way that is not destructive to everyone around us. That is also something I've been so aware of recently, is it can be the tendency to want to emotionally unload to the people around you. And there's a time and space for that, especially if that person has given consent, right? And that's someone you can trust. But that's also putting a lot of burden on those people that we're so close to. Not saying you can't talk to them about things, but just bringing some awareness to when you are feeling those overwhelming emotions. Do you emotionally unload on people around you? Rather than finding ways that you can feel that emotion, express it on your own. Maybe it's just through crying, allowing yourself to cry. There's so much shame around crying. Whenever I'm with a friend or someone and they start crying and they say sorry, I'm like, never apologize for crying. Never. It is so good to get that energy out. You are transmuting that energy. You are feeling it so it doesn't get stuck in your body. Or maybe it is dancing. Maybe it is stretching. Maybe it is yawning. This is something that comes up so much in my internal guidance sessions that I've been having with people. And this is the work we're going to do in Live Your Most Aligned Life. Before we can step into our authenticity, before we can live that alignment, a lot of times what's preventing us from finding that true soul-filling joy is the stuck emotions that then leads to patterns and behaviors that are no longer serving us. So many of us are just walking around, reacting and living from these wounds, these energetic wounds inside of us. And we just don't have to carry that around anymore. It's a matter of just feeling them and letting them go. And it is a beautifully simple process. I'm not saying it's an easy process, but beautifully simple that can be done when you're in pure awareness, when you're connecting to your internal guidance. It will bring up stuff that is safe to release. You guys have seen it in the internal guidance sessions I have a few weeks back. There's 3 different ones if you want to go back and check them out. You've witnessed a few people releasing them. And a lot of times it is more subtle. It's just a matter of breathing into that heaviness, that tightness, and feeling it and letting it go. And sometimes it can be more quote unquote dramatic and may involve more crying or movement or whatever it may be. But once you feel it, it is gone and you just feel so much lighter. So this episode is just to remind you, as you're going throughout your day and as you're trying to live your life in alignment. And remember, we're going to fall out of alignment and that's okay. We're going to fall out of presence and that's okay. A huge component is facing those shadows, of feeling those feels, of looking within, feeling that tightness that we've just been carrying around or that heaviness and letting it go. And if you need help in doing this, that is why I have my one-on-one internal guidance sessions, and that is why I created my Live Your Most Aligned class, which is starting on March 6th. You guys have heard the advertisements I've had here and there. I have a whole episode on it if you need to go back and listen. I think it's episode 117, but I'm going to be spending a few weeks on this topic of just emotionally clearing your awareness. A few weeks on just clearing the way so you can live your most aligned life. And we're going to be doing that internal guidance work starting week 2 on to week 8, where you are going in pure awareness and feeling that tightness and heaviness and seeing what comes up and releasing it. Again, I'm not saying any of this work is easy, but it is incredibly simple. And once you learn how to do it, you can do it in your day-to-day. Now, as I'm going through my life and I feel things come up, or when I feel myself getting triggered, I go within, I breathe, I feel that emotion, whether it be anger, sadness. I just allow myself, because a lot of times, most of the suffering comes from us resisting that feeling. It's so paradoxical, but we've just been taught that through societal norms to resist that feeling. But a lot of times when you just go in, you're like, okay, I'm feeling anger, I'm feeling sadness, I'm feeling fear. You see it for what it is, and it just takes down the intensity of that emotion so much more efficiently, at least in my experience. And that's why I want to share it with all of you, because I'm like, guys, there's an easier way to do this. We don't have to walk around suffering internally all the time, carrying around all this emotional weight. We can release it, and it's okay, and it's safe to do so. And I just want to help as many of you do that as I can. So as you guys know, my class, Live Your Most Aligned Life, is starting on March 6th. If you'd like to join me, please, ask your internal guidance first. If you feel that nudge, follow it. The link is in the show notes. Reach out with any questions that you have about the course. I'm so excited to take a group of you through this process. It's going to be so beautiful, so emotionally lightening, and just feel so good. It's time for you to start feeling good majority of the time. Yes, we're going to fall out of alignment, as we go throughout our life. That is just a part of the human experience. But you can feel amazing and aligned and happy and full of joy a majority of the time. You just have to allow yourself to feel that way. Allow, 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 allow. That's what my internal guidance says all the time. And it can be applied to so many scenarios, like things that we're not enjoying, the simple pleasures of life. Allow yourself to enjoy it. Like, so many times we're doing those small things and it's just, our worries about the past or future, things going on that take us out of enjoying that simple moment, that simple pleasure, the present moment. Just stop and breathe and ask yourself, how can I allow more in this moment? What am I blocking in this current moment? How am I not fully expressing myself in this moment? What does my soul want to do in this moment? And can I allow that to happen? Such beautiful questions to ponder as you're going throughout your day. And it's just, this is why I've created the class as well. Some of these things are so incredibly simple, but we just forget, and then we come back and we remember. So that is why I'm taking people through this 8-week process, so we can start to build these habits that allow us to live from our internal guidance, to live a life in presence, make the present moment your friend, not your enemy, and call in the things that we are desiring so we can live our most aligned life. So sending you all so much love, all the gratitude. Please share this episode with anyone that you think needs to hear this message. Please screenshot it, share it with me on Instagram. Any takeaways that you have, I love seeing those come through. I love seeing how this is impacting your life or what really resonated with you. And I'm just so excited to take those of you that are ready to step into your full alignment through my class, Live Your Most Aligned Life. Love you all so much, and I will see you in the next episode of Alignment Adventures.